People convicted of domestic assault can be sentenced to a fine, probation, or prison time, but most will end up in the community again. Tonight, we're looking to find out what's being done in Nebraska to help those convicted not reoffend. 1011's Bailey Bischoff has more.
Throughout this series on domestic violence, we've had a lot of calls for abusers to face harsher punishments, to lock them up and throw away the key. With Nebraska's current laws, that's just not reality. That's where the role of programming and rehabilitation come in. Day in and day out, Mike Ney and his team are working with Nebraskans on probation for crimes involving domestic abuse.
Like anything, changing behavior isn't always very easy.
His team has a caseload of over 1,500 people who go through a 30 to 36 week domestic violence intervention program aimed at changing their behavior.
It's not about anger control. It's about someone using coercive power and control in their intimate partner relationships. And so it's a way to get them to understand what that looks like, have them become accountable for the actions and the behaviors that they've been doing.
Probation officers do home visits, work with survivors and victims, and provide resources to the offender to keep them on the right track. It doesn't always work.
Those needs or what have you for coercive power control over the intimate partners are usually pretty deep-seated belief systems that we have to address to get change, and it can be very difficult to get them to change. Some don't.
The court doesn't track recidivism rates for domestic violence cases specifically, but he does have success stories, like what one survivor told him during a home visit years ago.
She started to cry and I was like, oh no. But then she goes, no, I have my husband back. And he's the father that he always was. And my kids are so much happier they have their dad back. So it's important to note that if we weren't affecting change, I don't know if we could do this work.
This isn't the only treatment option for abusers. There is limited treatment newly available within the Nebraska Department of Corrections. There are two programs, Achieving Change Through Value-Based Behavior and one called Choice Change Consequence. The most recent data from NDCS shows 138 people successfully completed the programs within the last year, and 118 are enrolled. Corrections Inspector General Doug Kobernick says it's too soon to tell if it's effective, but it shows promise.
I know that this program did see some positive results in Iowa, and that's why Nebraska brought it in.
Kobernick says this programming was sorely needed. The department went 8 years without specific domestic violence treatment.
I know at one point in time the department's clinicians had recommended domestic violence programming for over 800 people in the prison system.
He says there was a lack of programming because they were worried it wouldn't work.
You don't want to be offering a program that doesn't actually do anything because it could cause more harm than good.
But for some, recidivism can mean life or death. For Michelle Gonzalez, a 21-year-old Lincoln woman, it was a death sentence. Ibrahim Al-Hamadani, her killer, was on parole for a domestic violence charge when he killed her. 1011 asked NDCS if Al-Hamadani was offered any programming for domestic violence. The department didn't reply, and Kobernick said that information is confidential. It's stories like that Ney says give him purpose.
It's heartbreaking. Working with this population, knowing the things that happened, at the same time it fuels you for what you do every day when you come to work, is keep trying to fight it, because we're not going to give up.
We took a look at NDCS records, and right now the most common domestic violence charge prosecuted in Nebraska is third-degree domestic assault. It carries a maximum of 1 year in prison. Subsequent offenses carry up to 3 years.
Bailey, thank you. To view our past reporting from this series, find this story on the 1011 Now app.